Okay, in today's exercise, we're going to work on exercise 58 using lofted surfaces, and we're going to end up with a canoe. To begin, we're on page 186 in the Rhino Level 1 training guide, and they ask us to open the model Loft. So if I go into Rhino, I can find this either from your desktop or in the X drive in the Mauer folder. Rhino Level 1, and again we're looking for Loft. So here's the Loft file. And all they give us to begin with are a series of curves that we're going to use to create this canoe. So the first step is to window select all of the curves. I'll now go to the surface menu, choose Loft, and they want us to go ahead and take a look at some of the different options here on the Loft command. So we can switch the style to straight sections in preview, and it makes a slight adjustment to the canoe surface so far. We can also try loose, preview that, slightly different look. Ultimately they want us to end up with normal, and then we'll click OK. I'm going to go ahead and look at all 4 viewports. And step 7 then asks us to mirror the surface we just created. So I'm going to choose the first surface. I'll go to Transform and Mirror. I'll snap to one end of the canoe and then snap to the other end, and it will create the 2 surfaces on either side. Step 8 asks us to join the 2 halves. So I'll pick the 2 halves. Again, using the Shift key allows me to pick multiple halves or parts, and then go to Edit and Join. So now you can see that this is one surface forming that canoe shape. The next step is to make the seats, and in order to do that, I'm going to adjust some layers. Down here at the bottom, I can see my different layers, and I want to turn the Hall Curves layer off, so click the light bulb for Hall Curves, and turn the Seat Curves and Seat layers on. So Seat Curves on and Seats layer on. Now for this next part, make sure you're working in the front view. You want to make sure you select these in the front view. They want us to select the rounded rectangles here, and then also this one. I'll use the Shift key, select both, and then I'll go to the Curve menu, Curve from Objects, and then choose the Project option. When it asks what surfaces to project onto, I need to select the hull. So I'll click the hull, and again choose that in the front viewport, and then hit Enter. You should notice now that you have that rectangular cutout that was originally in the front view is now projected onto the surface of the canoe on each side. Now I want to change my layer to Seat Curves, and I'm going to select one of these sets of curves for the seat. one curve. You can use Control to deselect something if you don't quite get it. Shift key again allows you to add to the selection. And now I'm going to use the surface loft. I'll just hit enter at this option and click OK. So you'll notice it creates the seat in between. I'll repeat that same process at this end. Again, surface loft. Okay, so I have my two seats, and that's all set. Next, I'd like to select the hull and change to the sections layer. And from the curve menu, I'm going to choose Curve from Objects and Section. Using the top view, I'm going to start by adding one right down through the middle. And then the next one, I'm going to kind of eyeball the grid lines here. And if it helps, you can maximize your top view. And then I'll go on the next set of grid lines, holding down the shift key to make sure ortho is on. I'll click there. And then one more, again, shift key to keep ortho on there. Do the same thing down here. So let's just create some horizontal sections through our canoe. So I hit enter when I'm all done, and you can see that it's left those horizontal pieces there. Moving on to the next page. Again, select the hull. This time we're going to change to the contours layer. Go back to curve, curve from objects, and this time we want to use contour. And our base point is going to be the left end of the canoe, and then the right end of the canoe for the second point. And for the distance in between, we're going to type in 12. Hit enter, and it's going to give us some vertical contours in between there. You can see that now in the perspective view. The last part is to create an edge curve from the surfaces. I'm going to change to the top rail layer, and from the curve menu, I'm going to choose click curve from objects and duplicate edge. And I want to pick the top edge on one side, pick the other edge on the other side, and hit enter. And that about does it for the construction of the canoe. I'd like you to make a couple of adjustments to this. For one, we want to make sure that we raise this whole thing up above, so just a little bit of it is below the red line, because we're actually going to set our environment up so that we have a ground plane of water. So here's our water material. I think I'm going to use just the regular water here. And let's try the automatic sky. Click OK. I'm not going to add a light for this one for now, just because I want just the standard light to work. But I do want to apply a material to the canoe. So I'm going to try a plastic textured and maybe a blue. Let's see what this renders out. It's definitely dark, so we probably need to add some more light to it. I'm actually going to turn the sun on. I think that'll help. Again, I go back to ray trace. I can turn the sun on. Click OK. Let's try rendering that again and see how that changes it. Okay, definitely more light there. The water doesn't turn out wonderful, but it's good enough for us now. If you need to adjust the picture a little bit just to make sure your whole canoe is showing, go ahead and do that. There's your canoe sitting in some water. So we're all set with this exercise. Go ahead and save this as a JPEG and submit it to Course Sites, and that wraps up exercise 58, lofted surfaces, or the canoe.